To our very first story, and Majority Leader in Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has defended the decision by the Parliamentary Service Board to import furniture and other office wares for the Job 600 office complex for members of Parliament. The House came under heavy criticism over its decision to import furniture from China for the chamber. And now, Joy News is learning furniture and other office wares for the Job 600 complex have been procured from China and Italy, despite bids submitted by local manufacturers. Alban Bagbin says the local manufacturers lack the capacity to meet the demand.
You know, some of the species we don't have again. And so it's not like independence. When I hear some people talking about even at independence we could produce this, why now we can't? The forest cover at independence is not the same as today. Jobs creation comes in different forms. There's a cost to it. Okay? If you're talking about only today's generation, you can go that way. And so that by the time that tomorrow's generation came, there is no tree left. And when the last tree dies, the last man dies. You know that. And so we have to talk about sustainability. And the environment is quite key when you talk about sustainability of anything. I'm shocked that you are talking about producing just 275 chairs. It's not only for members of Parliament. You also have staff. And in any case, to try and produce chairs even for members of Parliament, you don't just produce 275. You must make room for what? Eventualities.
Well, Joseph Folikuma is a Vice President of the Woodworkers Association of Ghana. He joins us over the telephone for a brief discussion on this one. So, Mr. Folikuma, so apparently you do not have the capacity to produce those chairs, do you?
Yeah, we have. What we are trying to say is that an individual shop may not be able to produce all, but since we have a large number of members, we can take it in budget. We can share it among our members and then produce it. Woodworkers all over the country. We can have shops that can produce the quality that is wanted. And then we share it among our members, those who can do it. And we can do it.
Why do you think you were in the option that the Parliamentary Select Committee decided to opt for? Mr. Folikuma?
Hello, I can't hear the question.
Yes, I was asking, why do you think you weren't the preferred choice when it came to awarding this particular contract?
Yes. Yeah, because we think we are capable of doing the job. If we are capable of doing the job, that is for Ghanaians, Parliament. The thing is, if we are able to do Parliament, we have that pride. We think that can.
Mr. Folikuma, you might have to reposition yourself so we can hear you properly here. We are having a bit of a challenge with the phone lines. But let me ask. Okay, well, his line just dropped there. And when we do have him, we'll bring him back and talk some more about this particular issue. But the current power crisis facing the country may soon worsen as the water levels in the country's largest hydroelectric dam, the Akosombo, drops further. Now, the water level in the dam is now at 239.98 feet, almost a feet below the minimum operating level of 240 feet. Now, though the dam has continued to operate with the reservoir going as low as 235 feet, engineers have advised against it, warning of a possible explosion. News editor Israel Lai has been following the energy issues for most of his journalism career and gives us some insight as to how critical the situation is.
The situation is critical, but the engineers will tell you it's not dire. So it's bad, but not very, very bad, because the dam has actually gone to 235.76 feet before, and we're currently doing 239.98. So yeah, we could stretch it a bit.
Would you remember when it went this low?
I think 235 was, I think, in 1984.
1984?
Yeah.
And if you compare the population at the time and now, then it is dire, I would say.
It is critical, but not dire. Yeah,
well,
because we can keep running it for a while. Akosombo is supporting. Akosombo is currently doing 4 units. You know, if you look on the screen, you see that there are about 4.
Well, we don't have that on the screen yet, but if we have it, exactly.
You see there about 6 orange ones. They're currently doing 4 of them. 4 of the turbines. And they say that during the weekends, when the demand for electricity is not so much, then they'll be doing 3, because sometimes they would want to drop it a lot further. But so they're managing the situation as it is. Otherwise, there are 6. Otherwise, there are 6, and if we're running all 6, we probably could be seeing the water drafting or going down at a much faster pace.
Now let's talk about how far the VRA intends to straight the dam. How far do they want to go?
They're looking at, you know, it's currently, like I said, 239.98. They're willing to take it to 238. They're at this current rate, it's dropping at about 0.05 feet a day. And they're hoping that at this rate, they can take it to June, the end of June, when it's going to get to 238. 238, they're hoping that at 238 things would improve. The other plants that they're looking at bringing on stream will come on board, and so then they wouldn't have to, at that point, then they don't have to.
So there will be very little pressure on it.
There will be less pressure on it. And there are a number of things that they're looking at that will happen.
Right. But let me find out from you, Israel. I was asking when you entered the studio whether the situation has become so dire that we have to stop drinking water and go pour them into the dam. But I don't think so. But is the water in the reservoir rising at all?
It is rising, but what's actually happening is there's some water trickling in. But right now, they're not interested in trickles. They're actually hoping that there'll be volumes. The water will come in volumes. And the reason why they're saying that there's some trickle is that because there's water still, they're operating the dam, and so there's water going down. So the water is reducing. And so if there was no water coming in, then probably it would have been dropping at a much faster, the level would have been dropping at a much faster rate than the 0.05 that we're seeing now. So they look at how much they're using, and they look at how much the level is dropping, and they think that there's some water trickling in. But they would want a lot more water to be coming in. A lot more water.
Well, that was my colleague Gifty Andopia in an interview with Joy News editor Asia Lai on the Pulse. Well, that program is on later today at 3 p.m. Now back to our earlier story, and we do have the National Vice President of the Woodworkers Association of Ghana, Joseph Afolikuma, joining us back on the line. So Afolikuma, according to the majority leader, you're going to have to import raw materials from China and other countries just so you'll be able to, particularly carry out this contract. Is that the case?
Not completely. If you could quite remember, we did say before that whatever is being produced in this country, component of it is always imported. Part of it is always imported. For instance, the chemicals used in producing the glue, even the white glue, the basic glue, which is the white glue, the components are imported. But the key major material, which is wood or plywood, we can get it locally here and we can use it. And the glue or the imported component is definitely going to be minor.
But the point is, if we are still going to have to import a chunk of the things we would need to produce these things outside the country, is there no point in necessarily just outsourcing the contract to a company outside the country in the first place?
I don't see it that way, because I'm saying that the percentage of imported material involved in producing these things is less than 10%. And besides that, the other advantages that you have, using our own people over here, training them again to produce much better, and also conserving the foreign exchange. The pressure on the city, you all know it already. So if we produce it over here, it has lots of advantages. Let me point out now that these companies outside that have the capacity to produce these things, even one, they also started in very small ways that we are doing it now. So if we are allowed to do it, we are saying that we can get members all over the region, we share the contract, they will produce it, and then we put it together. And then one day we can have a single company that can produce this thing if it's given to in this country. Otherwise, how can we develop? How can we get to that stage?
Finally, before you go, Mr. Ofoli Kumar, what I would ask is, from where you sit, does it look like a deliberate attempt by leaders of this country, or say politicians, to not help the local industries to grow?
But this is quite difficult to say yes or no to, because what I don't understand, even myself, which I'm asking for, I want somebody to help me answer, is why is there even a single furniture for an office? The imported one is being bought, instead of sourcing it from the local carpenters who can do something which is very close, or sometimes even better. So it's quite, I can't understand. We have been asking this question why they will not buy from us. The reasons given, some of them, in fact, we can't just accept them. But we don't know why they don't want to buy from us.
Okay.
It's quite difficult to give you a yes and no answer to this.
All right.
But we are not satisfied with it. We are not happy with it. We think this is an opportunity for us to prove our case. We complained first when the parliamentary chairs were imported. When the judiciary, you interviewed them, we said the same thing. About 3 weeks ago, we met the deputy minister for trade, for industry. We talked about this, and still we have it. So it's quite difficult for me to give you a definition. I don't know why they don't want to buy from us. Let me add again that you see the training institutions, GS, NGT, the polytechnics, they train us to do this thing. And they should be able to, they train us to meet the standards of this country. And they should be able to use us.
Thank you very much for your time on Joy News today, Mr. Ofoli Kumar. That's Joseph Ofoli Kumar, is the Vice President of the Woodworkers Association of Ghana. Now, Ghana is losing as much as $2 million in the production sector due to the ongoing power crisis. Now, research conducted by the Institute for Statistical, Social and Economic Research shows that income of small business owners have decreased by as much as 48%, with the production sector also losing about $2.2 million on a daily basis due to the power crisis. It says projecting that the country's GDP will further fall by some 3% by close of year if the power situation does not improve.
For these firms, we find out that the insufficient electricity lowers their annual sales by about 37 to 48%. And that's quite high. I will quantify that. This, on average, shows that the economy as a whole, based on the population of the number of these firms in the country, we are losing about $2.2 million US per day. And that's equivalent of about $57 million US per month, or $686.4 million annually, just due to the electricity crisis alone. I'll be telling you more about that. And these figures translate to a loss of about 2% of our annual GDP. And the annual GDP is about 38 million billion US dollars. So 2.5, about 2% of that is being lost.
Some Ghanaian celebrities involved in an upcoming vigil aimed at forcing government to fix the country's crisis have been asked to rather channel such energies towards improving the crippling creative arts industry. Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor says much as the celebrities are at liberty to go on the vigil, his advice to them is for them to channel their efforts into a more profitable venture, such as improving the crippling creative arts industry. Or some of the celebrities have been responding to the minister's comments.
Are you considering the fact that, you know, there's been issues about you doing, a campaign for energy conservation instead of going for doom? So are you considering that?
It's still part of what we're doing. Tomorrow when they come, we're also going to educate them about, electricity conservation, I beg your pardon, how to initiate using solar panels and all that. So it's not just saying doom some must stop. We putting every measure. Is going to be an educational process whereby when we give our speech and talk to the populace, we tell them, in as much as we're saying Doomsor should stop, we also teach them how to conserve electricity. And in as much as we're promoting the Doomsor must stop, we're also educating the populace on how to preserve and conserve electricity.
We have an issue, we have a problem. And even in my business, the way I run it, when I speak to my employees, nobody reward efforts. We reward results. And it's been years with all these promises. And look at the immense problem we find ourselves right now. We understand that our leaders are doing things. We're not ignorant of it. We know power badges coming from Turkey and all of that. We are aware, but we do not. I don't think Ghanaians are happy. They are impacted by Dumsor. They are feeling the pains. Therefore, they are more or less inevitably saying, we need the results.
Expedite.
Your efforts are fine. Give us results. Dumsor must stop.
Well, you've actually been hearing quite a number of the celebrities respond to quite a number of the issues, including that of the Minister for Power. Now, the much publicized Dumsor Vigil will come off tomorrow here in Accra. The vigil, being organized by Ghanaian music and movie stars, is intended to get governments to attach some more urgency to fixing the energy crisis. Now, chaplain of late President Professor John Evans Atta Mills, Reverend Dr. Nii Amodaakon, is displeased with utterances in sections of the media relating to the death of the former president. This comes on the heels of recent remarks by former President Jerry John Rawlings describing the late president's death as a good omen for the ruling NDC. In an interview with Joy News, Reverend Amo said that such comments can breed chaos and mar the peace the country is currently enjoying.
Spiritually, whatever we say, according to the Bible, has effect. The entire world was created by word. And the Bible says it's the word that is upholding the world. So negative words such as that does not build. It actually breaks down on the peace, the unity, and the welfare, that is the shalom that we are seeking for the nation. It sometimes leads to chaos. It is not right culturally for the dead, the departed, to always be vilified, insulted, insinuated, and all those kinds of things said about them, and especially the good professor. All the departed leave behind close relatives, people that are dear to them. The sensitivities of these people are always to be considered, I believe. And as a result, any insensitive comments or words about such departed can create lack of peace, can create pain. Any nation that is not able to celebrate, honor their leaders is not worth dying for. All the leaders, especially presidents and leaders, astute leaders, male and female, who have done one or two things for this nation and have departed, all played their parts to the best of their abilities, I believe. Now, in the case of Professor Mills, it was during his tenure that we had single-digit inflation for a very long time in this country. It was during his tenure in 2011 that Ghana recorded a growth rate of 14.5, higher than any country in the world. Now, such leaders ought to be celebrated and not vilified and not say negative things about them. Now, the reason being that socially, if these men and women are not celebrated, are not honored, younger people do not feel inspired and encouraged to want to become leaders. And therefore, I'm not happy for these such comments being made about the departed, and especially my good friend Professor Mills.
Well, you're still watching Joy News today right here on your multi-TV. We're taking a break here. We'll be back shortly with some more news. Stay with us. Some NPP activists in the Upper East region yesterday disrupted a meeting with regional executives meant to be chaired by the party's chairman, Paul Afoko. Mr. Afoko and General Secretary Kobni Japan were in the region as part of a tour of the 3 northern regions aimed at discussing some concerns among party members in those regions. But the meeting in the Upper East region is said to have been cut short when some of the party activists stormed the venue for the meeting. Albert Sori has more.
Well, the meeting was convened yesterday for the regional party executive to meet with Paul Afoko and then General Secretary Kwabena Ejapong. We are told that the meeting supposedly was to discuss certain matters affecting the MPP. But then these aggrieved party activists stormed the meeting, and we're told they accused the regional organizer, Jerry Asamani, of convening the meeting without the consent of some of the party executives. And so they were threatening to beat him up, and it took the timely intervention of the police to avert any serious problem. They had massed up in front of the Azun Solom guest house where the meeting was supposed to take place. And so the police had to quickly move in to prevent any chaos.
At what time exactly did this happen?
Well, we heard of it later at 6 p.m. thereabouts, when the issue had seemed to have already happened. But then around 7 p.m. was when Paul Afoko, together with Jerry Asamani, went to the police station to report the matter. We are told that they had to go there with police escorts because some of these youths were still threatening the regional organizer, and so they had to protect him together with Afoko when they were going to the police station to lodge a formal complaint.
Was there any point where Mr. Afoko and his General Secretary Kwabena Ejapong? Kwachi Afrenium of our political desk has been interacting with the Upper East Regional Chairman of the opposition NPP.
Mr. Kwabena Ejapong, the General Secretary of the MPP, and Mr. Paul Afoko, I understand they are on a regional tour. In fact, as of now, they've been to about 5 regions. They've been to the Eastern region, they've been to the Central region. They were in Tamale yesterday. From Tamale, they moved straight to the Upper East region. And sources close to them say that so far, in all these regions that they've been, they've had what they've described as a highly successful interaction with regional constituency executives. But there is a certain perception, and that has been there since even before these 2 executives were elected, that they have a certain agenda against Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the agenda that many have termed as Agenda 2020, that Mr. Kwabena Ejapong and Paul Afoko want to scheme. They are scheming to ensure that Nana Addo loses the 2016 election so that eventually they will bring their man, Mr. Alan Chimanti. These are accusations by some section within the MPP. So this entire issue is unfolding because of that suspicion that Mr. Paul Afoko and Kwabena Ejapong are this is the first time they are touring.
The Tema Oil Refinery has run out of blue dye, one of the key components for the production of premix fuel. But Deputy Fisheries Minister Sena Okitidia has just told Parliament that strategies are being put in place to ensure continuous supply of premix to fishermen across the country. She was speaking in Parliament, from where Elton Jombrobe joins us on the line. So, Elton, what else has the minister been saying about the availability of premix fuel?
Well, the Deputy Minister, Okiti Sena Dua, said that government objective is to ensure the timely availability of premix fuel to fishermen at an affordable price, essentially on cost. But he says that the Tema Oil Refinery, in a letter to the ministry, indicated that the refinery had run out of the blue dye used in producing premix fuel. And for that reason, the scheduled supply of premix fuel has been disrupted since 20th April 2015. And TOR is arranging to import the blue dye from the United Kingdom, but that has also been changed. Now they are going to South Africa because, according to them, the product is cheaper in South Africa than in the United Kingdom. So they'll be importing the product from South Africa. When she was pushed to disclose how much government is spending in the importation of the blue dye from South Africa to Ghana, she was unable to provide further details on this particular issue. Now, she said that once TOR takes delivery of the blue dye, it will take about 2 days for it to be blended into the already prepared premix fuel. But in the interim, the Ministry of Petroleum, Fisheries and Agriculture has agreed to resume supply of premixed fuel without a blue dye to major landing beach sites. And then only trucks fitted with tracking device will be used to avoid diversion. And this will take effect from next week. In the meantime, also steps, according to her, are being taken to procure the requisite quantity of blue dye that will be used for production throughout the year to avoid supply disruption of premixed fuel on the market. Thank you.
I see. So what does this mean? Does this mean that there's a possibility of a shortage of premixed fuel in the coming days?
Of course, I think it has been in short supply since the ministry received a letter on the 18th of March, 2015. And as we speak now, supply has yet to resume because the blue dye that is used in the production of premixed fuel is still on the seas coming to Ghana. But TOR has indicated that in the next few days, it will take custody of the blue dye product so that it can start the production of premixed fuel. In the meantime, however, they are supplying some quantity to some beach. I don't know what product they will be supplying because the minister herself was unable to give further details on this particular issue. So fishermen who require premixed fuel to power their boats can no longer do so. Maybe they may have to use the manual way because the premixed fuel is simply not available because blue dye, a major component in the production of premixed fuel, is in short supply in Ghana at the moment.
Elton, thank you very much for that update. Elton John Brobe was in Parliament and he just brought us that report. We're taking a break here. When we come back, we have some business stories for you. Stay with us. Former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, Professor Stephen Adeh, has criticized the Bank of Ghana for what he describes as bad timing with regard to the central bank's decision to increase the country's policy rate. The Bank of Ghana on Wednesday increased the policy rate to 22%, up from the initial 21%, a move the former rector and economist believes is not right considering the current economic hardship facing Ghanaians. He's calling for the rollout of what he describes as a long-term national strategic framework if the economic crisis facing the country is to be resolved.
The Bank of Ghana has increased interest rate by the base rate by 1%. At this stage, when your industries are collapsing, who are those who are going to borrow? So there are certain things which I think requires a much more radical rethinking. I think that at this moment, I would not have recommended it. It is a bit psychologically. I mean, even if in economic theory will do is, the people are so down that you cannot, at this time, do certain things. I know that eventually the government has to increase revenue, but if you go, for example, raise company tax to say 30 or 35%, all that you are doing is that you may get a few revenue for about a few months, but then you collapse the remaining industries. So, but all these things must be within a long-term perspective. I believe that we cannot solve our present problem just looking today, but looking forward. We need a national strategic framework in which we are solving today's problem. For example, I know the Bank of Ghana is much concerned about controlling inflation. Brazil ran double-digit, about 3-digit inflation, even against all the advice of the World Bank and everything else. Today, it is the 5th biggest economy in the world. The most important thing was that their short-term challenges were solved with a long-term framework. And at this moment, we don't have that framework.
Executive Director of Domestic Banking at Ecobank, George Mensah Asante, has debunked assertions banks will gain abnormal profits following the policy rate increment. Although George Mensah Asante admits banks' lending rates will go up, he tells Joy Business banks are unhappy with high rates as that increases their bad loans.
Banks do not necessarily make more profit when the policy rate goes up or interest rate goes up. It rather hurts us because when you lend to customers at a rather high rate, I mean, the risk of default is there. So you notice that, I mean, in regimes where we have high interest rate, that is when we have huge NPLs. So banks are not happy when the rates are very high because as much as in the short term you are lending at those high rates, if you don't take time, you have a lot of bad loans. So we pray and hope that the micro indicators will improve, so the interest rate will come down. Then we can lend knowing that the customer will be able to pay.
The World Bank has asked Ghana to ensure its urbanization process complements rapid growth in productivity. A senior director at the World Bank said this at the launch of a report on Ghana Urbanization Review Project here in Accra. The project, titled Rising Through Cities in Ghana, depicts rising urbanization challenges and how best to overcome them.
So in urban financing, it's important that the cities manage their different potential sources different. There's always transfer from the central government to the cities. There's always the revenues and fees that they can have from their own sources. And it's also the opportunities to use different mechanisms to, in issues of land, economic development, in issues of taxation. And all these sources need to be very well coordinated and used. In making sure that the institutions are such that the cities know how much money they're going to have for next year and years to come, that they're able to do the planning of the infrastructure in a structured manner, that is coordinated with how much money they have, and that they are able to generate more sources of revenue locally so that they can grow more efficiently.
Well, that's it for business. We'll be back shortly with a lot more news. Stay with us. Young people in Tumu are demonstrating against the outgoing police commander of the Sisala district. They are accusing ASP Benjamin Sameni of auctioning an old police Land Rover to himself. Let's get more on this from our Upper West regional correspondent, Rafiq Salam. So, Rafiq, how do they know that ASP Sameni sold the car to himself?
These are residents from Tumu, and they are the youth. They call themselves the concerned youth of Tumu. They are saying that their investigation revealed first that ASP Benjamin Sameni was transferred from Tumu to Laura. So when his transfer letter came, he quickly picked an air conditioner and also a fridge that was bought by the state to the Sisala police. And so the man quickly took them away. And then the second thing that they accused him of was about the Land Rover, an old Land Rover that he has auctioned for himself. And the third one was an accusation who dealt with 2,000 Ghana cedis that he collected from the Sisala District Assembly to do night patrols or 2 patrols. And then the patrol has not been done. And then the money cannot also be found, could not also be found. And so these are the allegations that they have leveled against him. And then the last one, and which is important for them, is that the man disregard and disrespect all people from the Sisala area. So they are demanding that he be transferred. But the investigation that we have done from the regional police command indicated that the man has been transferred to Laura, but he's still at post at Tumu. And so that's what people are still wondering why he's not in there. But listening to him, speaking to him, he revealed that he's now at Laura.
Okay, Rafiq, thank you very much for that update. Rafiq Salam is a Joy News correspondent in the Upper West region. It is usually said that women do all the domestic chores. They are mostly seen doing the cooking, washing, and basically every household duty. But as the world marks International Family Day today, Beatrice Edu has been finding out whether Ghanaian men are sufficiently involved in getting household chores done.
Today is International Families Day, and we are here at Achimota, precisely around the Shell station here, to speak to men about what they do to support their families at home. You know, there's this perception that men hardly help the women in their house or the family members at home to, you know, do the house chores. But today we want to find out whether that is really the case. What do men do to support the families at home in terms of domestic chores? Let's find out to hear what views people have for us today.
I do everything, the tiles, everything about cleaning I do. I'm a gentleman, you know.
Have you ever washed your wife's clothes?
Yes, I do that. I do everything. That's why I'm telling you that I do everything. Yeah, I wash. Anytime I'm doing my washing, normally we do it together, but at a point when she's not available, I do everything. You get me? Yes.
Yeah, I help her in washing the children's clothing and then the dishes.
What else?
And then sometimes she's a seamstress, so sometimes I have to help her in that office too.
Do you cook when she doesn't have time to cook?
Yeah, I cook, but normally she doesn't want me to cook. So once in a while I cook.
Do you wash your clothes?
Yes, I do.
Really? How often do you wash your clothes?
At least twice in a week.
Oh, I do wash her clothes, cook for her, and sometimes even I do wash her pants. But as for her pants, I don't like it on outside in a room. Yeah, so that's what I can say.
Have you? How many times, for instance, have you washed their panty?
Oh, sometimes if she's sick, I do everything for her. Yeah, good for her, do everything for her to support her. She's a woman. So, as for a woman, I do love women because my mother is no more. My mother is dead, so I do worship my wife as my mother.
How often do you help her? Is it on a daily basis?
No, if I'm off at work, I do help her at home.
Very interesting views there from people we have spoken to today. Interesting. So it tells you that not all men are not willing to help at home. Some of them do help. They help with the little things you think only women do at home. So congratulations to these men, and it should tell you that some men are indeed helping at home and they are not leaving everything for the women to do. My name is Beatrice Edu for Joy News.
Well, like you heard the Beatrice Edu with that report, but that particular gentleman there had a very interesting thing to say. I don't know whether you also watch other things, but time now for us to check out the very latest in the world of sports after this.
Today, my name is Benedict Owusu. Let's talk sports now. In our very first story, the Black Satellites have arrived in Australia for a pre-tournament campaign ahead of their participation at this year's FIFA Under-20 World Cup in New Zealand. Now, the contingent left New Zealand for Australia, the Australian city of Melbourne, on Thursday night for the second leg of their tour ahead of the FIFA World Cup. They are expected to be in Australia for 2 weeks, and in Australia they will play some friendly matches. We understand they will come up against the likes of Panama Under-20, and also will play the Portugal Under-20 team and Colombia Under-20 team. That match actually will be on May 20 before Chris Lastete will name his final squad on May 21. The Satellites are in Group B of the Under-20 World Cup alongside Austria, Argentina and Panama. Ghana will play their first match at the tournament on May 30 against Austria in Wellington, where they will also face Argentina on June 2. Now, the Youth and Sports Ministry has informed the family of the late Sir Cecil Jones Atuquefi of government intention to organize a state burial for the former Black Stars and Accra Hearts of Oak coach. A high-powered delegation led by Sports Minister Dr. Mustafa Ahmed and Ghana Football Association President Kwesi Nyantakyi paid a visit to the family of the late Sir Cecil Jones Atuquefi at his residence in Accra yesterday. Sports Minister Mustafa Ahmed noted that although no decision has been taken yet, his outfit is proposing a state burial for the former African Coach of the Year.
On behalf of the government and the people of Ghana, we want to express our condolences to the family, indeed to the entire football fraternity of the country and the entire nation. And perhaps we will continue to be in contact with the family so that we can be apprised of the developments or the preparations towards his funeral, and then whatever contributions that we need to make as collaborators, we will let the family know as we go forward.
Well, we still stay with the Youth and Sports Minister, and he has backed Accra Hearts of Oak to eliminate Tunisian side Esperance in the playoff round of this year's CAF Confederation Cup. Now, the Phobians will play the Tunisians on Sunday in Tunis in the first leg of the final round qualifier of the competition. And although there have been concerns about the current form of Accra Hearts of Oak, the Minister is backing them to go all out and win the game.
Well, for people who believe in the spiritual destiny, I hope, and it's my prayer, that even in his death, he will still support Hearts of Oak to bring laurels to Ghana. Almost as a Ghanaian, I support any Ghanaian team that is engaged in any international tournament, and I wish them well, and I pray that they will succeed.
So that was Youth and Sports Minister Dr. Mustafa Ahmed. Let's go live to Tunisia, where Opariado, who writes for Hearts of Oak, the official mouthpiece of the club, that's the Hearts News, is joining me on the line. Opariado, good afternoon and thanks for your time. Big game on Sunday. How are you guys coping in Tunisia?
Well, Benedict, good afternoon, and good afternoon to everybody, all of us. Benedict, yes, currently the team is having their lunch. Right from here, players will be allowed to take rest for 4 hours. And in the evening, 7 p.m. Tunisian time, 6 p.m. Ghana time, the players will go into their second training session. The training session will last 2 hours. And it is not at the Grand Stadium, but it is a rented training pitch that Hearts of Oak has paid for. That is where the team will train this evening.
So, and when is the team expected to train on the match venue, at the match venue?
Hearts of Oak, per the rules governing the competition, Hearts of Oak is expected to train on the match venue tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Between 6 and 7 p.m., 1 hour training session at the Grand Stadium. But before then, where I did say that the club has rented to train this evening, the club will once again train there tomorrow morning before moving to the Grand Stadium to train in the evening, where the match will be played Sunday evening at 6 p.m.
Opari, you are there with them. What have they been telling you, the players and officials?
Well, I remember very well that this morning after breakfast, the whole team was gathered, and the head coach did tell them that, look, we have come here to repeat history. There's a mission that has to be achieved, and the players also they have all accepted that challenge. So they've made a promise to everybody that they certainly want to win, to send some good message back to the family of John Satuke Steele, because they believe that some years ago he led Hearts of Oak here to make history. And even though this squad has been written off, they believe they would be able to do something to prove their critics wrong. So determination, yes, it is written on the faces of the players. Motivation, management, the board has done their part to ensure that everything goes on well. Technically, the technical is led by Herbert Ado. They've also done their bit, so they're just waiting patiently and hoping that no injury comes up between now and the match time on Sunday evening.
Okay, thank you very much, Opariado, reaching us from Tunisia, where Hearts of Oak on Sunday will take on Esperance of Tunisia in a CAF Confederation Cup game. Well, there'll be live commentary on that game on Joy 99.7 FM on Sunday. The kickoff is 5 Ghana time. That's it from me, Benedict Owusu. Make sure when you say a prayer, you say one for Accra Hearts of Oak. There is more after this break. Stay tuned.
The sports segment was brought to you.
More and more people are beginning to feel the toll of the energy crisis. The latest is a 65-year-old pensioner, Antina, who laments bitterly about how she has had to spend large portions of her pension money to buy batteries to power her lamps. These lamps, according to Antina, are her source of light anytime there is a power outage in her home. She's therefore calling on the president to quickly resolve the energy crisis to save her more money.
I am 65 years old pensioner. I'm suffering because of those. Kojo, where can I go and talk? They are talking for me. Every week I have to buy a bunch of battery to recharge my battery lamp. Out of the small pension I receive after 42 years, 245 cedi every month. Every week I have to buy. If do so must stop and do so is stopped, I will save this battery money to do something better. I have to sleep in darkness. I pity my children and my grandchildren. My young woman, if not because of a small hip problem I have, tomorrow I'll walk with you. I'll bring my battery lamp. I'll charge it and walk with you from wherever you are going to start and to wherever you are going to end.
Residents of Brahabebom, a farming community in the Takwa Nswaye municipality of the Western region, are up in arms against some activities of the Goldfields Ghana Limited, Takwa Mines. The residents complain that their buildings have developed large cracks due to continuous blasting activities of the mining company. Western Regional Correspondent William Benjamin Peters has more.
According to the residents, most of their structures face possible collapse as the activities of the mining company continues. Residents claim the very foundation of their buildings shake when the blasting activity begins. They accuse the company of defying international mining requirement of a 500-meter buffer zone to be allocated between an open pit of a mining company and development, and also to ensure that people live outside of the blast radius of mining operations. Residents also claim the noise from the blast gives them sleepless nights due to the use of heavy-duty machines at night. Some of the affected residents claim leaders of the community as well as management of the company are paying less attention to their plight. Chief linguist of the community, Kwesi Apia, who doubles as the chairman of the monitoring team, said some efforts have been made by the leadership of the community, which includes the submission of reports on the company's activities in the community to management of the company, and they are awaiting their response by the close of this month. He, however, proposed that affected residents should be relocated or compensated.
It's about time they took a look at the impact of their operation on the community. They should relocate residents who live within the 500-meter zone so we can all live in peace, because the nuisance is just too much.
So the energy crisis has hit hard at healthcare delivery in the country. In the Western region, authorities at the Takoradi Hospital must raise 16,000 Ghana cedis every month just to buy fuel to power their generator. Here's a report by William Benjamin Peters.
The din caused by the generator is a welcome for any visitor to the Takoradi Hospital. It was evident that the facility was without electricity. About 6 empty yellow gallons, popularly known as Kufuor gallons, were lined up near the generator, sited close to the hospital morgue. The hospital spends 8,000 cedis every 2 weeks and 6,000 cedis per month on fuel for the generator. Administrator Frank Owusu Asari says the hospital is operating at a loss due to this expenditure. They are indebted to suppliers, some of whom have threatened to cut off their services if the hospital does not pay up. He, however, assured that the facility has no intention of sending away any patient or charging extra due to the situation. Frank Owusu Asari, however, reiterated the need for health facilities to be hooked onto solar energy, which includes newly constructed facilities in the country.
It actually poses a very big challenge to health managers, how you'll be able to survive, and perhaps even in the future, how even we have to run health institutions. I think now the best way to go is that we have to look at solar, because there is no need providing very beautiful edifice where women's service cannot be provided because of electricity.
Unfortunately, irregular reimbursement of health insurance money is also another challenge confronting the facility, with the hospital being owed 619,697.17 cedis by the National Health Insurance Authority.
Authorities of Jabin Government Hospital in the Ashanti region rely on funds from the hospital's mortuary to buy fuel to power a standby generator to keep the facility running. The hospital spends 10,000 Ghana cedis every month on fuel in the face of the worsening power crisis and delayed payment of health insurance claims. Our Ashanti regional correspondent Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin visited Jabin and Efidiasi government hospitals and reports the situation at both places is becoming critical due to low voltage in the area even when power is available.
Over 130 outpatients receive healthcare services daily here at the Jabin Government Hospital. Giving quality care to these patients is, however, now a luxury. With a monthly 10,000 Ghana cedis fuel bill to power the generator, operational costs have shot through the roof and the hospital can barely afford anything else. The situation has been compounded by low voltage from the national grid. Thus, when there is supply, It is inadequate to power hospital equipment, and standby generator must be turned on.
You can't power some of the machines. You need to put it off and put on the generator because the current is so low. Even common TV, it cannot power the TVs. I told you also that we need power to pump our water to work with. We are using borehole to pump water to run the services. And because of the current nature of the current, as we sit here, we are having electricity, but the water is not pumping because the current is not strong enough to pump the water.
As part of control measures, the generator is turned off at 11 p.m. Health workers and patients have to resort to torchlights, lanterns, and mobile phones to see their way through till daybreak.
If we are able to work on the situation and there is no need for the light to continue going on, we put the generator off and put it on the next day to work.
Authorities buy fuel on credit from local dealers who are reluctant to continue to supply due to mounting debts, especially with NHIS claims payments in arrears. To pacify creditors, officials have had to rely on the hospital mortuary proceeds to offset the debts and avoid total closure. Officials will not say what percentage of revenue from the mortuary they are using to buy fuel, except to say it is currently their lifeline. Bawa Osman is administrator at the hospital.
On average, you spend about 10,000 Ghana a month on fuel alone because every other 2 days.
Well, time now for us to go on to the international scene and get the very latest on what's happening there. This hour, my name is Kwabna Chenchehene Boateng. Before we go, a recap of our top stories. Organizers of Dumso Vigil tell governments they want results and not efforts as they gear up for Saturday's protest march to mount pressure on government to resolve the energy crisis. A report released by ISIL shows a 48% decrease in income levels for small business owners as a result of the ongoing energy crisis. And the former GIMPO rector, Professor Stephen Ade, has criticized the Bank of Ghana for increasing the policy rate. For more news, do well to log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good afternoon.